to Muzan's memories. Inokami Kagura!
You've watched hundreds of episodes. You cried. You think you know these shows. But what if I told you that across 10 of the most popular anime, there are details hiding in plain sight that completely break the story you thought you were watching? Not theories, real details. Things the creators put there and silently prayed you'd never connect.
Let's go! どうしたんだ
You remember the night Tanjiro's family was slaughtered, and you probably remember thinking that scar on his forehead is from a falling brazier as a kid. But here's the question nobody asked. Why did Muzan know exactly where to find that family? The Kamado family lived in an isolated mountain, just a charcoal cellar and his kids. So how did the most powerful demon in existence find them? Specifically, here's the answer. Tanjiro's scar isn't a burn mark from a childhood accident. It's a Hanafuda mark, a symbol tied to the sun-breathing lineage that Muzan had been hunting for over 400 years. It's the same mark Yoriichi, the only demon slayer who ever made Muzan run, carried on his forehead. Tanjiro wasn't chosen randomly. His family carried that mark through generations. That night in the snow wasn't a random attack. It was the end of a 400-year manhunt, and a 12-year-old boy carrying his sister was the only thing left standing in the way. Mayuri Kortsuchi gets laughs. But let me tell you the actual story of his lieutenant Nemu. Because it's not funny. Nemu wasn't recruited. She wasn't born. She was grown. Assembled in a laboratory using modified Jigai technology and Mayuri's own Reiatsu as a base material. She can feel pain. She experiences fear. She has something close enough to emotions that she willingly takes punishment to protect him. And Mayuri beats her in front of other captains. He has injected her body with toxins to use her as a living weapon dispenser in battle, without concern for whether it would kill her. He created a biological tool and gave it just enough humanity to be useful. And she still called him father. That's not loyalty. That's what happens when the only person who gave you existence is also the person causing your suffering. The Soul Society watched this for decades and made him a captain. We're only halfway through, and it gets darker.
クナ、お返しします。
Quick question. How many people did the Orochimaru kill before the Chunin exams? Most fans would say, a lot. But here's the specific number that the show buries in a single line of dialogue and never brings back up. Before Enka received her cursed seal, before Sasuke, before any of the main cast ever encountered Orochimaru, he had already performed the cursed seal experiment on at least 10 subjects. Every single one of them died. Now, here's where it gets worse. These weren't criminals volunteering for experiments. These were academy-level ninja, kids the same age as Naruto's generation, selected from Hidden Leaf's own ranks. And the third Hokage knew. He watched Orochimaru conduct human experiments on children inside the village for years, and his response was to let him leave quietly with a head start. The village that put protect your comrades on a pedestal watched a man turn children into test subjects and gave him a clean exit because punishing him would have been politically complicated. Those 10 kids never got a name, never got a funeral scene. The show gave them exactly one sentence and moved on. Eren screaming about the outside world, that burning need to see what's beyond the walls. You probably felt something watching that. That hunger felt real. Now here's the question. What if that hunger wasn't supposed to exist? When Historia uncovers the truth about the founding titan in Season 3, we learn something the show had been building toward for over 50 episodes. The King of the Walls didn't just erase people's memories of the outside world, he went further. He used the founding titan's power to remove the desire to leave, to architect psychological contentment directly into the population's minds. The people of Paradise weren't just ignorant. Their ancestors were rewired to feel comfortable inside those walls, to not question, to not push, to accept the cage as home. That burning desire Eren felt, the restlessness that made him the protagonist of the entire series, that was a malfunction, a crack in the programming. Every child who grew up dreaming of the ocean, every scout who died charging at titans to reach the outside, they were all fighting against psychological architecture installed by a king who decided freedom was too dangerous to leave as an option. The walls were never just walls. They were the world's largest mind prison.
I, for one, feel so much better now.
3 billion. That's the approximate population of planet Vegeta at the time Frieza destroyed it, according to confirmed Dragon Ball lore. Not warriors. 3 billion living beings. Civilians, children, infants, eliminated in a single energy blast, because Frieza was afraid of a prophecy he wasn't even certain was real. Now here's the part most people gloss over because the show never sits with it long enough. After the genocide, Frieza kept Vegeta alive, not out of mercy, as a trophy. Vegeta spent years as a servant to the man who killed his entire species. species. He knew what Frieza did. He knew he wasn't saved. He was kept. And every single day he had to bow, take orders, and perform for the person who erased his home from existence. People call Vegeta arrogant, cold, prideful to the point of self-destruction. But think about what pride is when you have nothing else. He couldn't grieve. He couldn't rage. He couldn't even acknowledge what was done to him without risking his life. So he turned every single thing he had left, his skill, his ego, his refusal to break, into armor. Vegeta's arrogance was never about superiority. It was the only thing Frieza couldn't take.
Hello, Ed boys!
If you watched the Nina Tucker scene, you remember how it felt. That moment of realization, the Chimera saying, "Edward, play," the weight of it hitting all at once. But here's what the show tells you quietly, and then never brings back. Tucker's wife didn't leave him. She was his first Chimera. The woman who supposedly walked out on him and Nina, the one Tucker dismissed in a single sentence, was the human subject he used to earn his state alchemist certification. She begged to die, and then she died, and the state certified him, and they let him keep custody of his daughter. Nina grew up in that house for years. She played in those halls. She ate at that table. She slept under that roof. In the same house where her mother had been turned into a creature that couldn't recognize its own name. Edward didn't stumble into the home of a desperate man who cracked under pressure. He walked into the second crime scene. Tucker had already done this, been protected by the system, and then done it again. The State Alchemist program didn't fail to catch a monster. It certified one, and then sent 2 children to live with him.
No, I can't laugh yet. I've got to hold it in.
Watch Light Yagami in episode 1 the moment he writes his first name in the Death Note. The camera cuts away before he finishes writing. He can't even look at what he's doing. Now watch him in episode 15. The camera lingers a full second longer. He finishes writing. He closes the notebook. Now watch him in the final arc. He writes names the way you write a grocery list. No pause. No breath. Eyes forward. The animators tracked his psychological erosion in real time, through camera duration alone, across 37 episodes, without a single line of dialogue explaining it. The man who spent episode 1 debating the morality of killing a criminal, that man died slowly across the entire runtime of the show, and the camera was the only eulogy he got. By the time Light Yagami is laughing in that warehouse in the finale, the person you met in episode 1 has been gone for a long time. You just didn't notice the exact moment he left.
I don't care what happens to me now. Just follow me.
Most people watched Gon's transformation against Neferbetu and felt one thing: pure hype, the music, the scale, the raw emotion of a child becoming something terrifying in the name of grief. But here's the question the show asks quietly, and most people don't stop long enough to hear: what did that power actually cost? Gon didn't discover a new technique. He didn't unlock a hidden ability. He made a vow to sacrifice everything: his Nen, his future, his potential lifespan, to reach that single moment of power. And his body answered by transforming into what he would have become: the adult Gon, fully realized, decades of growth compressed into minutes. He didn't power up. He spent his entire life like a one-time currency. The adult standing on that battlefield wasn't a new form. It was the only version of adult Gon that would ever exist, burned through in minutes, leaving behind a child's body with nothing left inside it. After the fight, Gon had no Nen, no future potential. Doctors said he would never recover. He was alive the way an empty building is still standing. Killua gave up everything to save him, and the show pivots so fast that most people never fully process what was lost. Gon didn't win that fight. He traded himself for it. You know, Ohara was destroyed. You know Robin watched her mother die. You've probably cried during that flashback at least once. But here's the detail that turns tragedy into something colder. The scholars of Ohara spent their final hours doing one thing: throwing books into the lake. Thousands of years of research, the only surviving records of the Void Century, hurled into the water to preserve them from the flames. They died believing they had saved something, but the world government had anticipated exactly that. Before the Navy left the island, they poisoned the lake. Every book, every manuscript, every record of the 100-year history the world wasn't supposed to know about, destroyed not by fire, but by deliberate, calculated erasure. The scholars outsmarted the bombs, so the government made sure the water itself would finish what the Buster Call started. The man who ordered that operation went on to become a world government elder. He is still alive in the current One Piece timeline. Robin didn't just lose her home. She watched the last surviving memory of an entire erased civilization get drowned, and then spent the next 20 years being hunted for the crime of having been present when it happened. And here it is, the one that will change how you see the entire show. Most people know EVA Unit 01 is special. Most people know it goes berserk. Most people assume that's just dramatic flair. Cool robot stuff. But here is what actually happened. In 2004, 11 years before the events of the series, Yui Ikari volunteered for a contact experiment with the prototype EVA unit. The experiment went wrong. Her physical body was absorbed completely into the core. She didn't die. She became Unit 01. Every time Shinji climbs into that cockpit, he is sitting inside his mother's body. Every time the EVA moves, she is moving. Every time the unit goes berserk, breaks its restraints, and fights to protect Shinji with a ferocity that defies its programming. That's Yui, protecting her son. The entire series, Shinji screaming that his mother abandoned him, that nobody wanted him, that he was alone. She heard every word. She was there for every breakdown, every battle, every moment he begged for someone to acknowledge him. She just couldn't answer. She chose this. The lore confirms she could have left and chose to stay inside a machine because she believed it would carry Shinji, and eventually humanity, forward. She gave up her body, her voice, her ability to hold her son, to become the only armor that could keep him alive. And he spent 26 episodes feeling completely alone. He was never alone. She never left. 10 anime, 10 details. And if even one of those hit differently than you expected, you already know what that means. There's more where this came from. Drop in the comments which one broke you the most. I read every single one. And if you're new here, this is what we do. Subscribe. Next one's already coming.